皆さんこんにちは、ちかです。Hey guys, it's Chika. Welcome to the Japanagos channel.
Japanagos!
So I don't know what the weather is like where you guys are from, but in Tokyo and in Japan in general, we are having a pretty cold winter. And the worst thing about it is that a lot of houses in Japan don't have central heating, so even when you're inside, you're shivering. Unless you've got the right heating equipment. So why do we not have central heating in Japan? That is the question that all foreigners ask when they start living here. And me having lived in the States for 16 years asked the same question when I came back 7 years ago. There are various theories. Some say the utility bill would be too expensive. Others say that the developers are too conservative, so they don't want to implement central heating in all the houses. Another thing I read, which made a lot of sense, is that Japanese people are very good about conserving energy. They're very efficient. They don't like a lot of waste. So heating up the entire house, heating up empty rooms would just be very mottainai, a big waste. And plus, a lot of people in Japan have never lived in a house with central heating, so they don't really know what they're missing. But having a cold house doesn't come without its perks. Because we don't have central heating, we've come up with a lot of cool heating appliances to keep us warm in the winter. And today I'm going to share with you guys one of them. It's called a kotatsu. Kotatsu is typically a low dining table with a built-in heater inside and a quilt or comforter between the table frame and the tabletop. It's basically a table, a heater, and a bed all in one. How awesome is that? So the kotatsu has been around since the Muromachi period, way back in the 1300s. So even though it's a lot more modernized now, it's still got this traditional old Japanese feel to it. So it's not the most popular piece of furniture among younger people living by themselves, but it's definitely something we all look forward to when we go back to our jikka. Jikka means parents' house. Jitsu means real or actual. Ka, another way of reading ie, means house. So it means your actual house, actual home, real house, real home. In my case, my jikka is in Seattle, so we don't have a kotatsu there, but I definitely look forward to snuggling in it when I went back to my grandmother's house. Unfortunately, grandma has bad knees now and she can't sit on the floor, so we got rid of our kotatsu. But I really wanted to show you guys a real kotatsu in a real home because that's how you kind of understand the culture surrounding the kotatsu. And the earlier footage you saw was a footage that I took at a furniture store since I didn't have a kotatsu. So I thought, what can I do to show you guys this? And I decided to ask all of my chikatomos, my chika friends. Tomo means friends. That's what I call all of my friends that watch my channel. So you guys are all chikatomos as well. And they all sent me pictures of their kotatsu and they are just so great, so let's take a look. So the kotatsu is typically in the living room in front of the TV. I love how they're watching my channel. Getting nice and toasty and relaxing. Having friends over and hanging out. Working from the kotatsu. I could never do that. I'd fall right asleep. Now let's flip the comforter and see what's inside. Yep, you will often find a cat in there. Oh my gosh, he looks so comfortable. They both do, actually. And if you don't find them inside, they're probably on top. Dogs love them too, I guess. Oh, she's like, I'm getting a little toasty in there. Oh, and this is what it looks like inside. The newer ones have the heater built into the table frame like this. A lot of the newer kotatsus use thinner fabric on the corners so they take up less space. They also have dining table kotatsus where you sit in chairs. This is what I should get my grandma, actually. Oh, and this is a horigotatsu, sometimes referred to as the sunken kotatsu. See how it's dug out? You can hang your feet in like you're sitting on a bench. This is an older type of horigotatsu where the heater isn't under the table but built into the ground. Okay, so let me tell you a little bit about the history of the kotatsu. As I mentioned earlier, it's been around since the Muromachi period, way back in the 1300s. And back then, it wasn't kotatsu, it was an annka. It was this box-type heater made out of clay or wood. They had holes on each side, and you would stick a pot of charcoal inside, and then put a blanket over it and kind of keep warm. So that's where they came up with this idea of having a heater and a quilt covering it to insulate the heat. Next, they came up with a bigger version where you could fit more people, and they decided to use the irori, which was this fire pit in the middle of the living room that Japanese houses had back then, used for cooking and to keep warm. They dug the irori deeper and laid a scaffolding type of framework above it, and they would put the quilt over the scaffolding. The problem with using the irori was that you couldn't move it, so they came up with this movable type of kotatsu, which is what is most common today. And that was basically a combination of the annka and this irori type of kotatsu, because you would have this framework and they'd put a pot of coal inside and then cover it with a blanket. And now they could have the kotatsu anywhere and they wouldn't have to get rid of it every time they wanted to cook. So the horigotatsu that you saw earlier in the photo, where did that come from? Well, that was invented by a British art teacher who was living in Japan because his father was teaching English here. He had the original irori type of kotatsu in his home, but the problem was he was Caucasian, had long legs, and it was hard for him to sit on the floor. So he decided to dig the irori even deeper, deep enough so you could hang your legs in it, and then have another deep layer at the bottom to put the coals in. So he came up with this basically like sit-down dugout type of kotatsu. His idea was just brilliant because not only did it change how kotatsus were, but it has changed dining spaces in general. In a lot of Japanese restaurants nowadays, you will find this hori-style dining. It's not a kotatsu, there's not a quilt over it, so you still have this feeling of sitting in a traditional Japanese-style place, but you can hang your legs, so it's much more comfortable. So whenever I go to a Japanese restaurant, I get all excited when they've got the horizaseki because I'm like, yes, I don't have to spend the next 2 hours sitting seiza because that's gonna make my legs and feet completely numb. So thank you, Bernard Leach, for inventing the horigotatsu. A few famous writers wrote about Bernard's brilliant invention and it spread all over Japan in the early 1900s. In the 1950s, they switched over to the electric kotatsu and got rid of the charcoal and were now using infrared heaters. And it wasn't until around this time that the kotatsu started being used as a table as well. So until then, it was just something to keep warm, something to snuggle under. And now it's basically the center of everything in the winter. It's like where everyone eats, it's where everyone watches TV, it's where kids do their homework, it's where people eat mandarin oranges. Like life happens at the kotatsu in Japanese winters. Here's a bit more footage from the furniture store that I took. As you can see, there are a ton of different styles of tables you can choose from. Here's the side view of the table. You've got the tabletop and the table frame, which is separate because you put the quilt in between. And to go along with the wide variety of different table styles, we've got a ton of different quilts or futons as well. And if you look at the poster in the back, you can see the modern day kotatsus, and some of them are quite stylish. I wouldn't mind getting that round one for my place. So I know that was more than you guys needed to know about the kotatsu, but I think that now that you have an idea of what a big role it plays in Japanese winters, you probably want to experience it for yourself, right? After seeing everyone's photos, I definitely wanted to snuggle in one, but I didn't have one at my place, my grandma doesn't have one anymore, and none of my friends have them. So what did I do? I found a kotatsu-style restaurant. It is really, really cold today, but we are going to a restaurant that is perfect for a day like this. Sugoi kotatsu! There aren't a lot, but there are a few. The one I went to was in Yoyogi near Shinjuku. It was awesome. I was so happy to be snuggling in a kotatsu, eating hot pot. It was wonderful. Kotatsu and nabe are like the symbol of Japanese winters. So if you guys are ever here in the winter, be sure to check this place out. Before we go, just want to do a short onomatopoeia lesson that goes hand in hand with the kotatsu, and that is daradara, daradara. That means like lazy or sluggish, and the way we use it is like kotatsu ni hairu to daradara shi chau. Kotatsu ni hairu to daradara shi chau. That means when I'm in a kotatsu, I get so like lazy and like don't want to do anything. Daradara. You can also use it like mo daradara shinaide chanto shukudai shi nasai. Stop being so lazy and do your homework. Or something like itsumo shigoto ganbatteirundakara tamani ha daradaraしてもいいんじゃない? Like you're always working so hard, I think it's okay to be lazy once in a while and not do anything. Type of thing. So that's how you can use this, but it's daradara. So I hope that if you guys are ever here in the winter, you get to experience being daradara in a kotatsu because it is just awesome. Lastly, thanks to all of my chikatomos for sending me your pictures. You guys are awesome. Thank you. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this and I will see you guys again soon. Mata ne! Do you guys have anything similar to the kotatsu where you're from? Maybe you have a different type of heating appliance that's unique to your country. And some of you probably don't even need any heating appliances because it's hot all year round. Let me know in the comments, and I will see you guys again soon.